X-IST again, one who tooths. In a previous video, we triumphantly determined that when X contains a verbal idea, any word of the form X-IST can reliably be translated one who does the action of X with parentheses around does the action. Thus, for example, a biologist is one who studies life. And when we remember that X-ectomy equals the cutting out of X, we know that an X-ectomist will be one who cuts out X, because cutting out is pretty clearly a verbal idea. But none of this helps us much with the word economist, which we introduced in that previous video and then abandoned. If you take this word apart, the way we began to take apart the word biology, it means, believe it or not, one who does the household law thing, because the word economy means household law. Compare astronomy, which means star law, and agronomy, meaning field law. The problem is, there is obviously no verbal idea here to work with. To translate ex-onomist as one who laws just wouldn't cut it. So let's go back a stage. Remember when we said that X-IST more or less accurately means one who does the X thing? Actually, it means exactly that. But the translations we are looking at for these formulaic phrases are not necessarily the same as the meanings. Rather, we are looking in each case for a version of the meaning, a dependable formulaic translation which you can rely upon, given, of course, the presence or absence of constraints upon X. In this case, the presence or absence of a verbal idea. So far, we have established that X-IST means one who does the X thing, and that when X contains a verbal idea, the version of that meaning, which is our dependable formulaic translation, call it our plan A, is X-IST, there's a verbal idea in X, X-IST equals one who does the action of X with the parentheses. Thus, since exometry means the measurement of X, the verbal idea here is measuring, then exometrist means one who measures X. The problem is that we need a default version. We need a plan B for when plan A doesn't work. For all those words like economist, words of the form X-IST, where X does not contain a verbal idea. Now, it turns out that the meaning of words of the form X-er, as discussed earlier, could also be said to be one who does the X thing. But remember how we laughed at the idea of translating lover as one who does the love thing, preferring the formulaically generated translation, one who loves. On the other hand, consider now the words astronomy and astronomer. Even if you've forgotten that astronome means star law, and feel free to forget this, it won't be on the exam, you should agree that astronomer is not really one who astronomes, and that one who does the astronomy thing is a far better solution. But speaking of better solutions, what is a more formal way of describing what it is that one who does the X thing actually does? Let's try one more example, coming back to the case of X-IST, which is, after all, the case in which we will frequently need our plan B. You probably know that the combining form dent equals tooth, so that dental problems are problems pertaining to teeth. Therefore, since a dentist probably is not one who teeths, we would have to say, so far, that she is one who does the teeth thing. But however literally accurate that definition might be, My dentist, at least, would object if I described her that way. So what might she call herself using the one who construction? What would an astronomer, or, finally, an economist, call herself? The answer is actually our Plan B formulaic translation. The rule for these cases, then, is if there is no verbal idea, we default to Plan B. X-IST equals one who specializes in X. Thus, dentist equals one who specializes in teeth. Here now, to pull all this together, is a list of the words we have been considering. Biologist has a verbal idea in it, so Plan A applies, and we translate one who studies X, which here equals life. Ectomist also has a verbal idea, Plan A, one who cuts out X. Lover, verbal idea, Plan A, one who loves. Astronomer, on the other hand, cannot mean one who star laws. There's no verbal idea. So, using Plan B, we get one who specializes in star law. An economist is not one who household laws, but rather, by means of Plan B, one who specializes in household law. And finally, the word dentist has no verbal idea in it, so it means one who specializes in X, which here equals teeth.